Hey, so what's going on? It's your man Mac back, Debt Network. I wanted to do something a little different today. I know Kendrick Lamar just dropped the Not Like Us video, and everybody's doing their reactions. But I wanted to do something a little more specific with Professor Skye um, doing an actual breakdown of the endings and doing a little analysis of the endings and Not Like Us. So if you don't know who Professor Skye is, he tends to chime in a little bit on the hip hop scene, hip hop community, and provide a few different perspectives on representation and analysis from a perspective of a college professor. Um, I know he's had a few debates with Anthony Fantano, the needle drop, so on and so forth. And now he's going to do a breakdown. So I'm going to make this a two-part. He's actually going to do a breakdown of the endings, and then I think he's going to do a breakdown of the video, which I'm going to return and do a little video on that too. So I'm interested to see what his feedback is. You know what I'm saying? I was going to go ahead and share it with y'all. So, let's get into it. Let me go ahead and cue this up for y'all. All right. Yeah. Hopefully, hopefully it plays without too much choppiness. Yeah, everybody's going crazy over this damn video. So
have a lot of different choices in how they end a video or a movie. And a great filmmaker can even successfully pull off multiple endings to one video, one movie, one story. Think of James Cameron, Titanic, Terminator 2, multiple endings and it really works. It can also go really wrong. Think of probably the worst edited movie of all time, Return of the King by Peter Jackson, which of course won an Oscar for Best Editing, which has like 11 different endings and it doesn't come through and you're just like, just let it end. This video, despite the fact that the whole thing is really interesting, in my opinion, it's the ending that deserves the most attention, or more properly, the three endings. So I'm going to take you through those moments. The first ending, as I see it, is what I call the real wave goodbye. There's a little tiny moment, it's less than a second, of Kendrick Lamar, and he's kind of dancing and walking backwards in one of the very ornate and minimalist sets. I guess you can't be ornate and minimalist. A very well designed and well executed.
yeah, I was just about to say, I would say more it's just efficiently designed. That whole video had a clean, efficient, very functional design to it. Dave Free is a pretty good visionary when it comes to visuals, optics, interpretations, visual interpretations. He's really good, really good director. They did a great job on that. But yeah, I know exactly the scene he's talking about. He's talking about the scene with Kendrick where he had the scarf tied around his hat and he's waving by to the camera. I'm really gonna hate this buffer.
Minimalist set. He waves goodbye while kind of walking backwards. This struck me because there's a genuineness to his face and to his expression. The rest of the video, he appears to be putting on some kind of mask or presenting himself as a certain thing, as some kind of representation of the culture and of himself and the city and of all of that. But this one little moment, he's just kind of waving by. There's like a naturalness to the smile. And it's weird because he's waving goodbye and the video's not nearly over. So that's the first goodbye. That's what I think is Kendrick's goodbye. Then we have the second ending, which is the owl ending, where we see how unintentionally Drake has set himself up. See, this
before he goes there and expounds on that. Yeah. So the second ending, the ending with the owl. What I took from that specifically is that Kendrick had put, so the owl, of course, representing Drake. So Kendrick took Drake and he put him in his place. And not only did he put him in his place, if you notice, Kendrick is waiting outside of the cage. And I think I said this in the reaction video with DJ Sincere. Kendrick is actually waiting outside of the cage for the owl. So basically saying, I put you in your place. If you step out of your place again, I'll be right here waiting for you. So I think that's a really poignant point that Kendrick was making. And it's a cool visual. I know the front face visual of the owl is like a meme that's going around the internet where Kendrick is looking at the owl from the front facing position as opposed to the owl looking at him from the front facing position. And then they did a real good job training the owl to, I don't know necessarily if this was natural or what, but the owl was almost like cowering. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like his shoulders were hunched over, his head was down. He was following Kendrick's all over the room. And then once Kendrick left the room, he felt it was okay to look at the camera. Like it's almost kind of like Kendrick did something to the owl before they said roll. And then the owl was kind of like intimidated by Kendrick somewhat. But yeah, they did a real good job with that. The owl like cowering and looking like it was in fear. It was really cool to see.
This is where we need to talk about the owl symbol. We need to talk about symbols, icons, logos, and the power that they have and how vulnerable they are. You see, you have a logo to communicate something complicated with something very simple, right? Think of maybe the most famous logo, the cross, okay, which represents all Christianity and all of its beliefs and all of its history and all of its adherents, all that. Just a little T means all of that. But of course, if you want to subvert that, what to do is turn it upside down, and then it means Satan and Ozzy Osbourne. Or the Star of David, or the crescent moon, which of course the French turned into the croissant. But when we're thinking about simplicity logos, it gets confusing because in the sort of post-World War II era, we've really just seen the rise of Nike and Adidas and all that. I did some research. Turns out the first really simplified logo in sort of modern capitalist history was the Bass logo for Bass beer, that little red triangle. They figured out that don't have something complicated, lots of little things happening. They simplified logos way before Apple, But come on, let's be honest. If we're trying to think about a logo, a simple image that anybody can draw.
And that's actually like a point, like a good point. I try to stop saying point all the time. So just to let y'all know a little bit about me, my career is in marketing. All right. So in marketing, what I've come to realize that marketing is all about resonating, connecting, predictability, so on and so forth. That simplicity connects more than complex, something that's complex in nature. People majority identify with something that's easily relatable. So I think that's what the point he's trying to make with the logos. The more simplistic you make something, the more opportunity and more probability you get to connect and grasp someone.
Draw that carries with it so much meaning, we have to go to the swastika, the symbol of the National Socialists led by Adolf Hitler. Okay?
Right.
And what interests me is the way that it was so powerfully and well used by the Nazis, right? Think of Triumph of the Will. You never seen it? It's a movie from 1934 by Leni Riefenstahl. A wonderfully shot movie, one of the most influential movies of all time that also happens to be straight Nazi propaganda. Now, I'm not going to say it's a good movie and that you should watch it, but as far as the cinematic importance of it, it cannot be overstated. But in that whole movie, it all takes place at a Nazi rally in Nuremberg in 1934. I've actually been to the place where they filmed it. It's called the Zeppelinfeld, which means the field where they had they would have zeppelins come.
Field of zeppelins. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful shot video of a horrible, terrible moment. In particular, the way that she knows how to use the simple image of a swastika to build in strength and power and clarity and direction. The flip side of that, take us to 1945, a couple days after Hitler's 65th birthday. Of course, Hitler was born on April 20th, so all you potheads celebrating April 20th, you're celebrating Hitler's birthday. Not a good look, guys. Pick a different day, okay? Pick the 21st.
Well,
that's my gift to you. Smoke up, but not on his birthday. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So on the 22nd of April, 1945, we had taken over Nuremberg in a long fight, and we blew up the castle, whole thing. And we get to the Zeppelin. The Allies, get to the Zeppelinfelde. And the first thing that we do is we cover up the swastika with a big American flag, and we give medals to people who survived the battle in front of that defaced and covered swastika. 3 days later, on the 25th of April, 2,000 pounds of explosives were put on that swastika with tons of cameras filming it, and the whole thing was blown up. And it's still, to this moment, one of the most clear images of the destruction of the Nazis and the victory of the Allies. That same symbol that Riefenstahl was able to use to show power, we, our propaganda ministers, were able to use to show the downfall of that power. That is the power and the peril and the vulnerability of...
Hey, I'm gonna pause it real quick. Take a look at his background. So he has some French art, semiotics, Krusty the Clown, Andy Warhol on the back painting. It's very interesting to see what makes up a man or makes up a person, what they deem important. Very interesting background.
Iconography and logos, which brings us to this ending. I'm not saying that Drake is Jesus, and that's why I'm talking about a cross, nor am I saying he's a Nazi, and that's why I'm talking about a swastika. I'm talking about powerful iconography, powerful logo.
Drake is Jewish. It relates to both of those topics, both Jesus and the Nazis. That's what the common fodder is. He is Jewish.
In the way they can be used. Drake was very smart. He picked a logo that people can draw. It's not his name. It's an owl. It reminds me very strongly of actually coinage from Athens. Like, look up old coins from Athens. Like, he owes Greece like royalty monies. That's how much it looks like it. You know, and you could put it anywhere. Like, there's hockey jerseys that were like officially branded with owls, and it's a cool image, and it works out really, really well up until this point. Now, this moment is, to my mind, putting 2,000 pounds of explosive on the owl and blowing it up. First, we have Kendrick holding the owl quietly, mugging to the camera, looking at it in the eyes. You can't even really make out what it is at first. You can't. I couldn't. I was like, that's some kind of mass. I don't know what it is. Because how do you recognize you recognize an owl because of its eyes, right? Ooh, right? But it's free. It's out of the cage. Kendrick is staring it down. The next scene, Kendrick's back. He's staring in at the owl that is in a cage. Now, the crazy thing is, this bird was out of a cage. Kendrick looked at it and put it in the cage.
In the cage.
This is the symbolic moment. He's not, listen, I watched this video with my baby, okay? So I was getting ready to put my baby to bed. You know, I was sitting on the guitar, I was sitting on the couch, I was playing guitar with her. I taught myself how to play Only a Northern Song, the George Harrison song by the Beatles. And we were kind of singing together, having a nice time. And I get a notification somewhere that the Kendrick video's out. So I stop everything, you know, and I watch the video. Like, literally, I'm watching the video on the side here, and my almost 2-year-old baby is crawling over me to watch the video with me. We don't watch a lot of TV together, but if you watch this channel, you know, she has a history with the Kendrick beef. And when we get to the scene, I get nervous because I'm like, are they going to blow up this owl? I mean, she's just learning animal sounds. She loves owls. Ooh, it's a fun sound. She actually tries to do the one with the mouth like this, but I don't know how to do it either. So she just goes like this. Oh, because she thinks that's an owl sound. So I'm sitting here like, oh no. I'm like, I actually came really close to covering up the camera, thinking they're going to hurt it. But that's the point. You don't have to blow up the owl. You have.
Very interesting that he played that in front of his daughter, who's 2. I don't know if that's endearing or if that's weird. I can't really tell.
Have to tell the owl, you are in a cage that I create. I put you in, I can take you out. When was the video released? It was released on Independence Day. When was the last time we heard from Kendrick? The Pop-Off concert. When was that? That was Juneteenth. The freedom of...
Right. I was just about to say, so the correlation is freedom of two different cultures, or if you want to use that word. I hate today's use of that word, culture, but 2 different groups of people experienced independence on those days, allegedly.
Of African Americans, the freedom of the slaves, announced to everybody, the day where we celebrate America starting to realize its true values of freedom for all. And then July 4th, the more officially recognized day historically of American independence from England. These two concepts of independence and this image, this really strong image of incarceration of this owl, this predator, this large-eyed interloper who just like exists in this video to be caged. That's how it's taken care of. You know, I don't know if it's on purpose because Drake just did that that Canada Day video on Instagram. Happy Canada Day, mon. Irie blood clot. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know.
He got
Listen,
jokes,
maybe people didn't think that was as funny as I did.
code switching.
I thought it was hilarious. And so then you're thinking, all right, that's a cold ass ending. You know, both these endings are great. Him smiling and waving away, making you feel like, oh, thank you. You're my friend. We're all together here. We have the icon destroyed, put into the cage. Kendrick decides when it's open, when it's closed. There's this silence, this utter silence. You're all waiting. You were all waiting and thinking, is he going to like smash the cage? You know, symbolically, is he going to kill this owl? But it's worse. Remember in Dark Knight Rises, criminally underrated, great movie. Dark Knight Rises when Bane keeps.
Yeah. So I've always said that. I almost like Dark Knight Rising more than The Dark Knight. Unpopular opinion. Like Bane, this is again unpopular opinion, hot take, whatever you want to call it. I put Bane over the Joker. Like he had so many weighted quotables in that movie, and what he represented to me was more relatable to me. He's like, you know, raised in the dark. You know, I was. You think you immediately adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was but a man, but by then it was nothing but blinding. Like that Bane was cold. He had all the cold. It seemed like every time, do you feel in charge? Like it seemed like he had all the cold lines. Like Dark Knight Rising is underrated.
Bruce Wayne alive in the bottom of that pit to watch TV so he can watch his city crumble. This owl's got his eyes open,
right,
and he's going to have to watch the third ending. And the third ending is the real thing that kills Drake in this beef. It's not destroying the icon that matters. It's the third ending. It's the outtakes. The outtakes of the entire city singing along to the song, partying and having fun by the Compton Courthouse. We'll talk about that in a second. This is showing Kendrick doesn't have an icon. He doesn't have a logo or an owl or a mascot. There's no Gritty the Kendrick,
yes,
you know. There's no Kung Fu Kenny. There's no Kung Fu Kenny mascot, you know, the big head and doing
no extras.
What does Kendrick have? Instead of an icon, instead of a logo that can be put on hockey jerseys and sold, what does Kendrick have instead of a logo? He has an entire city. He has an entire culture.
Respect.
If Drake wants to come back and hit him and take what represents Kendrick in this video, he can't put a bird in a cage. He would have to destroy an entire city. He would have to destroy thousands and millions of people who celebrate the culture that Kendrick is trying to save from the owl. The owl cannot blink. It has to watch.
That's actually pretty interesting.
What Kendrick has built cannot be destroyed.
So let's talk about that. So he was saying that he's trying to save, like Drake. Okay, let's talk about what he said in layman's. I'm not going to use his analogy. What I'm going to use is, you know, the free the slaves. Kendrick almost seems like a cursed hero, right? That's why this is so interesting. It's almost like a cursed hero story, to where the hero loves who he protects so much that he ultimately must sacrifice himself in order to save it. So who Kendrick loves is his people. And then also, too, he loves the possibility of a relationship with something higher than himself, what I think is God. So he goes through these trials and tribulations as a playing the role of a defender of these people. So let's look at Owl. Drake represents what he's trying to protect his people from: greed, unloyalty, sinfulness, disingenuousness, a system that's going to keep you in bondage or can keep you in a place, in a particular place. I'm not going to go into the deeper meaning of what all of that represents, or who a group of people that represents. I feel like those looking at this video, you should be able to tell who I'm talking about. But I think Kendrick's trying to play the role of the hero, protecting those groups of people, that group of people that he's referring to in front of the courthouse, singing "Not Like Us," from an enemy that they may not be cognizant of, or cognizant of and not feel the need to defend themselves from. I think he's playing the role of the hero in that particular situation. And Drake just so happens to be the manifestation of who he's trying to protect those people against. So interesting.
Because what Kendrick has built is just a reflection of the thing that has been building for the past 5 decades in hip hop culture. That's the thing that Drake has been threatening with his popularity, with his whatever, with his pop sensibilities, all of that. And this is what Kendrick is saving. And that's why the best part of the whole video, because they're all having fun. They're all in community. They all have what Drake cannot have and cannot destroy. Then, of course, we see Dave and Kendrick Lamar, the directors, implying that they're together, implying that there's no, that the division that Drake was trying to save, he's your baby mama's daddy, whatever the hell it is. I don't care about all the terminology. Trying to say, like, his best friends with his fiance. No, they work together. This is unity. This is Black excellence and unity all together, just with a title card.
That's cringy.
And at the very end, you hear on the bullhorn, whoever it is that's directing the video, saying, "Y'all want to do it again?"
Yeah. Do you want to do it again? And everybody says, yeah.
5 times, and everyone was hyped. And if they played it 6 times, everyone would have been hyped. And if they played it 7 times, it would have been hyped. And you keep saying, how long can this go on? How long can this song go on? How long can I hear this song and be excited and happy every single time?
Until you're
making sure that nobody is watching and nobody is filming. I try to figure out how to do that little crip walk by myself. I'm not culturally appropriating anything. It's a cool dance, and I would like to figure out how to do it in order for no one to ever.
He should have recorded that and posted that. That's funny as hell. Trying to imagine. I mean, that's the nature of creating something popular, right? That people try to relate to it on various levels or appropriate themselves at various levels. Like, imagine this dude who's a professor try to crip walk. That's hilarious. Or blood walk. Either one of the two. That's pretty funny. Not because he's white, but it's funny because the fact that he was so enamored by the content that he's trying to emulate variables of the content in order to be a part of it more, if that makes sense. That's funny to me. But that's funny.
Ever see it ever. Okay. But like it, how do you make a song? So it's freaking Gangnam Style. Remember the summer of Gangnam Style, where you're like, I'm so sick of the song, and then it comes on. You don't change the radio. You don't change it. Except unlike Gangnam Style, this is an authentic piece of hip hop culture from the people who created it, defending the people who created it against interlopers. And as I said in my Juneteenth video, this is a battle of ideas. It's not really a battle of people.
Right.
Y'all want to do it again?
Deals.
Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by Professor, who would like you to subscribe, who would like you to like this video. You know, if you're watching the live premiere, could you please do me a favor and like the video, not just like do the little hearts on the live chat thing, because it doesn't quite work. You know, comment over there too. We're trying to help out the Ugly Kitty. So let's go through the video a lot more methodically. With the beginning, new music. Okay, this right here, it's so cool. Kendrick and Dave Free are so smart. They start right off the bat with a new Kendrick song.
They're dangerously smart.
If you're like me, the idea of Kendrick releasing music is very exciting. A totally different style of beat. It's sort of like
Not really.
Neptunesy or Timberlandy, but it's also kind of West Coasty. Super.
All right, so what he's trying to say, go ahead and help the professor out a little bit here. That beat, Kendrick is trying to dip into the BPMs more closely related to Bay Area music. That's what I hear, especially with Not Like Us. That's almost like a Bay Area tempo of beat as far as like the BPMs go. And then the West Coast part comes with the live instrument, not the West Coast, excuse me. The Southern California part comes in with the live instrumentation or the funk part, because that's what in the 70s, a lot of LA participated in the movement of the funk movement, George Clinton, so on and so forth. So that's why a lot of less West Coast, stereotypical content comes with the old school soundtrack from various cultures, because that's what was there. That was popular in the 70s and in the early 80s. So those are those elements that translate over into rap and the hip hop as far as sampling goes. But in terms, to get back to what I was saying before, that beat, I'm assuming it's called Broccoli, the music, which, by the way, for those who are wondering, that's going to be a hit too. If Kendrick, and not to interrupt the professor too much, but if Kendrick puts that out, that's another hit. That's another hit. This whole upbeat, catchy, dancey, sing-songy lane that he's finding himself in, I feel like he's. I don't know necessarily if this is going to be an album that's based solely around that type of. The word nowadays is vibe, but I don't want to say that. The theme, I don't think that's going to be the theme. I think it's probably going to be a mixture. I think it's going to be something that's all encompassing, and who reflects him as a person. I feel like Kendrick is not solely deeply introspective and theorizing all the time. I think he's half and half, but he feels drawn to the purpose of theorizing to teach and to let people know certain things. But I think he's going to lean into his more lighthearted side too, and there's going to be a combination of both. And he's found a way to be able to be theoretical and lighthearted, up-tempoed, fun, and like that, and Not Like Us in this new song, Broccoli, the Broccoli song. So, I'm interested to see, what he comes up with. Whatever it is, I'm saying it right now, Kendrick has the opportunity to have a diamond album if he plays his cards right. Because one more hit like Not Like Us, we looking at a diamond album. We're looking at a diamond album, even in this day and age. So we'll see.
Super arcane lyrics that I can't quite untangle, like very weird and very mixed. I want to hear the rest of the song. I walk away from this video singing Not Like Us, but I also walk away from the video hoping that I get to hear the song more. Then we hear the knock at the door. Who's knocking? Who's knocking? Who's knocking? I don't know. And then we see Tommy the Clown. Now, this is the first time I want to say something. I'm not going to front, okay? I maybe heard of Tommy the Clown before the Juneteenth concert, but this is the internet, so I can find out. There's a great documentary about him. Check it out. It's really good. I can hear other people talk about him who know. There's so many things in the video that I will not front on you. I don't know them. I didn't know what DeMar DeRozan looked like. I didn't know the name of the restaurant where he goes. I didn't know these things because it's not actually my culture. Now I can front and say like, well, I studied this and I know this, but I'm not.
Shout out for him at least admitting he don't know. He doesn't know. Tommy the Clown, very big part of South California scene in terms of gang reform and upliftment of young culture. With his dance programs, dance battles, kept a lot of people off, a lot of kids off the street, a lot of kids getting killed, kept a lot of kids from getting killed. The documentary that he's referring to, I don't even necessarily know if it was a documentary in terms of Tommy the Clown individually, but just the culture of that dance style is called Rise. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I'm pretty sure you saw it. So Chris Brown, the style of dancing that he partakes in a lot, that's crump dancing, clowning as they call crump dancing or clowning. There's two different types of dances. And then Tommy the Clown is built around that because he was kind of the spearhead of organizing it to the point where kids can come and be a part of that as opposed to spend time in the streets. DeMar DeRozan, guard forward for the Chicago Bulls now, was in Toronto, had some sort of relationship with Drake, so on and so forth. So, these are these are the holes that I'm going to try to fill in as far as his cultural, his information from cultural gaps is concerned.
I'm not going to front. I don't know, and that's part of the value of this whole thing, the whole experiment. Tommy the Clown has become one of the most influential and important invisible dance instructors in the country, thanks to the last 3 weeks. Imagine
he's always been that, but now
guy who figures out a way to start to have very visible way.
Tommy the Clown, that's 25 years.
There in LA, and he's interesting and weird looking. And
Rise almost came out 20 years ago.
Inspiring story, and now all of a sudden he's at the center of this whole thing. Look at what Kendrick was able to do, lifting up culture, lifting up in this community. What does Tommy the Clown say? I don't know. Does he say you're lame because he's talking to Drake, or does he say you're late because this video took a long time to come out?
He said you're late.
He's kind of hiding Kendrick. I don't know. The whole video starts in a set. Now, this is one of my favorite things about the video. There's a couple different things. There's two different settings, rough settings. There is the studio, the sort of like Hype Williams-esque, as I previously
This is call out. Oh no.
Brilliantly appointed minimalist studio. And then there is the sort of hood tour, I'm just out there, outside in Compton filming around. It's the
hood tour.
Really nice.
I don't know, for some reason that sounds so funny when white people say that. The hood tour. When they say the word "the hood" as a preface for something else,
looks like
my shoulders automatically go like, "Oh my god!" Like it's just so crazy.
They move in all the computers, but it's a dance school. It's a dance school. Everyone there, I assume, is in Tommy the Clown's T Squad. Right? That's who his dancers are. And what does that make Kendrick? That makes Kendrick a student. He's sitting there, and people are dancing and going along with the song. And what's fascinating is there's a point where they pass a Bible, right? And that's, Bible, if I'm in front of God or whatever, God's watching. And there's a weird thing about this video is sometimes it does that. It illustrates the words precisely with what's happening on screen. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't really know why or when, but I do know that it shows restraint, because I think a lot of times he could have just sort of had each moment of the song illustrated by some kind of thing. So when he says this goes. When he says that goes there. Instead, like, it happens very rarely. It ends up being more of a vibey video. Of course, we have the spray painted airbrushed t-shirts, with, not like the sort of West Coast font. I don't know. This is maybe a tip of the cap to the Spanish-speaking population of the West Coast, because I usually associate that more with different kind of airbrush artists.
No,
customized.
Okay.
Again,
the font that he used for the "Not Like This" title is in the style of cartoon. Yeah, so cartoon is Hispanic. Cartoon arguably is the greatest tattoo artist if the greatest, if not one of the greatest in American history. So he's up there with like Ed Hardy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's up, cartoon is up there. Like he is incredible. He's incredible. And he's Hispanic from California, I believe specifically Los Angeles. And that font that they use for Not Like Us is a font that's in his style. I don't know if he did that font specifically, but I know that font is in his style. So he could be on something. At first I was just like, bro, what are you talking about? But that he said that, yeah, that makes a little sense.
I'm not going to front. I live in Rochester, New York. What the hell do I know about West Coast airbrushing culture?
Hood. I'm actually kind of surprised.
Then we get to the dark scene. All right, the scene where he's just totally out of place scene. And of course, he talks about the boogeyman and someone who I assume is supposed to represent Drake walks up behind him and then gets taken away. Now, listen, ever since this video came out, I've watched the video like 100 times. I can't stop watching it. And then I watch other people.
Stop one more time. Hey, for that part of the video where the guy's creeping up behind Kendrick and he gets pulled away like a jump scare, like a horror movie, that guy's supposed to be Drake. You know, that cover where Drake is wearing the not the balaclava, but the shiesty over his eyes, kind of looks like Ninja Gaiden. Like that's what I was supposed to represent.
Other people's reactions and commentary on it. So I don't remember who said this. Maybe it was Justin Hunt or I don't know. Maybe it was someone else. I can't. I'm watching Rob Markman. Maybe I don't know who it is. Like I just keep watching videos, and that's why I'm watching this video, right? Because you just want more. Like we don't ever want to get Not Like Us. We don't ever want to be out of this moment. We want to cherish every single minute. Thank you for riding with me.
Yeah. Okay. Let me speak on that too. Like the reason why you see so many people posting videos, doing reactionary videos, because this is not necessarily just a battle rap. Like this isn't. I mean, on the surface, it's two guys that's beefing with each other or getting into it, but this is more than a beef between two men. This is a conflict of ideas or ideals, and ideals, a representation of what should be going forward. You have the Kendrick side who's sticking up for artistic values, to be honest, if you want to really go deeper, attempts at nation building, societal building, grouping focus. And then you have the Drake side for individualism, monetary ambition, and almost a by any means necessary approach to ascension. And by any means necessary, I do mean by any means necessary, legal or otherwise. I'll leave it at that. But we have two conflicted. It's almost like Tupac and Biggie from the standpoint of, and then shout out to DJ Sincere because he actually put this comparison to me a long time ago. With Tupac and Biggie, Pac was a good guy trying to be bad, and Biggie was a bad guy trying to be good. I think that's kind of like the same thing. Kendrick is a bad guy trying to be good, and Drake is a good guy trying to be bad. Now, only this time, the directional focus on opposite sides are switched. Biggie was more about Biggie. Like he didn't necessarily think about his people as a group, in terms, at least how he presented himself musically. Pac thought about his people and how can I help my people? How can I use my life to add to the betterment of my people? And I think that's where Kendrick kind of comes in as a group. How can we become better? Drake is more so kind of like me, my feelings, my ambitions, my intentions. That's what it seems like. Drake doesn't necessarily seem about a group. If he does seem about a group, it seems about the group on his mama's side. I'll leave it at that.
With me, as I try to go through it too. One of those dudes said, this was just like the Family Matters video. I'm like, that's right. Because remember the Family Matters video? Oh, you don't? You don't remember that video with the minivan? Oh yeah, that's right. Remember when Drake tried to destroy the icon that represented Kendrick Lamar, the minivan? And remember for the 10 seconds up until Kendrick
This
released
is
his
funny.
response, you were like, wow, this is a pretty killer video. I thought it was a video, but it is wiped from my mind like freaking Tommy Lee Jones would hit me with Banaka. You know what I'm saying? What? What video?
What is happening?
I don't. Did Drake release any songs during this beef? Did I get 600,000 views? Commentary on one of those songs? I did. I thought this was all just Kendrick talking to himself.
Talk your shit there,
It's so
Talk your shit.
Then we get to the prison scene, which is a very stylized white room, and he's doing push-ups on cinder blocks, obviously in reference to the push-up song. A couple things I find interesting about this. One, there's a painting and it's backwards. I don't know. There appears to be an entire secondary theme about criminal justice system, about incarceration and its connection perhaps to a lineage of slavery happening in this video that doesn't necessarily.
That's another thing that I like about this beef, that people are starting to see what makes Kendrick so interesting, and not only necessarily Kendrick, but rappers in his ilk. So it's like the Kendricks, the Lupes, the Jay Electronicas. The reason why those rappers have such a cult following is because there's always something to learn, and it's always more than meets the eye. Like there's more than the initial listen. There's deeper meanings, and it becomes like a game trying to figure out, what are these people trying to say? And not only what the enticing part is that not only what are they trying to say, but usually what they're trying to say is wisdom. There's wisdom attached to that. So there's an incentive of trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to say, because the pot at the end of the rainbow is usually a gem of wisdom, and I think that's excellent. That's what makes, rapping worth listening to, especially, your MF Dooms, your Kendrick Lamars, your Jay Electronicas. Like, there's always there Andre 3000s. There's always something else, and it's cool to see the rest of the world kind of peep that, and to have these type of videos to be like, what do they really mean? Like there should be tons of these type of videos for, especially like Mr. Morale, Section 80, To Pimp a Butterfly, like to dissect and interpret and explore and discuss. Like, that's one of the foundations of what this network was founded on: discussion, entertainment, and thoughts, meaning to discuss, to dig deeper, to try to understand or try to communicate, understand through communication. And that becomes entertaining. And then the thought process behind it, to be able to take something and first compartmentalize it, then analyze it, then turn it into a solid thought to be carried on for however the duration, and then or be reiterated as wisdom. Like that's an interesting process and something that we hope to communicate for a long time. But it's cool that the rest of the world is starting to see that rap doesn't necessarily always have to be about shaking your ass and busting your gun or selling some dope. It could be about learning. It could be about becoming a better person. And then by being not only becoming a better person, but being a better person in the benefit of the group, as well. So it's dope.
Doesn't necessarily have to do with Drake. I think the painting back represents that when people are locked up, they are not able to express themselves properly, and they don't see art; they just see the back of things. I don't know. So, I see Donda. This is Donda. This looks like the set from the first Donda watching party.
Mm.
Now you have to not front. Okay, that happened.
Mm.
Then we get to the piñata thing. And this is maybe the most kind of like cheesy part of the video. I enjoyed it. It was nice. But my favorite part about it is he hits the piñata times. Again, I don't know if this is maybe a tip of the cap to the Spanish population of Los Angeles.
Mostly had to do with.
But there's just one extra hit, and that's what I love. Because whap, 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 whap. And to break, and he whaps it. And then, of course, we get to the A minor part. And that's where the crowd comes in. And this is what is
Playing
great.
hopscotch, another kid's game.
What Kendrick has done, he's kept the song alive. He's milking it. Can you milk me, Greg? He's milking it, right?
Oh,
Okay. He's milking it, but not really. He's actually guiding you to understand the song better. When he did the song 5 times at the pop-off, and stopped at the A minor bit, it made you realize tension that was built up in you, the desire you have to be released into singing the chorus, helped you to see.
I'm looking at his radio setup in the back with the record player. My dad had one of those. I think it's still at my mom's house. I probably need to get one of those for my house. Yeah, the old school or the big radio or the audio setup. That's actually kind of cool to me. I need to pick up one of those.
See clearly the point of the song is this communal feeling. So by restraining and taking it away from you over and over and over again until finally the third lift, you get to sing, "They not like us, they not like us." It's the construction of the song. He's not showing off. He's illustrating the point of the song. There's the personal part, the one-on-one part, the brain part, the thinking part, where he breaks down Reconstruction politics and where he takes these individual shots, different members, and then there is the group release. The scene of him doing the hopscotch scene, and then we have all of these people in front of the Compton courthouse.
What's the meaning behind that?
I had to look up what building it was. I lived in LA for a year. I never went to
courthouse.
Why? I didn't want to be a tourist. I grew up my whole life fascinated with Crenshaw. Okay, seriously, like the idea that I was just like whatever, half an hour in traffic away from like the Crenshaw, from Lawson Avenue, all those places I always wanted to go, always wanted to see. I lived there for a year, but I didn't go because I don't want to be a tourist. You know, this is where people live. This is where they are. So I'm not going to front and act like I drove around and went to Tam's Burgers and I saw the courthouse. But what I did do is this. I looked up videos of the Compton courthouse. Mm-hmm. And the fascinating thing, I found Courthouse History. It's a YouTube channel that just like films courthouses. They film driving up to it. And what struck me about this video is the way that the Compton courthouse looms over the city. It looms over the city because Compton, like much of Los Angeles, is very horizontal.
Flat.
Louis Ferdinand Céline talked about New York as being a city debout, right? Standing straight up. Right? Like New York is just entirely vertical. Los Angeles, especially when you live there, is like they took New York and just knocked it over and just spread it all out. And that's why you have to always be in your damn car trying to figure out the best way to get to Santa Monica.
Santa Monica, hell.
So that spread outness means that tall buildings have a different place. So if you watch the video, you see it towers over and looks over. And this little video by Courthouse History reminded me strongly of the beginning of Francois Truffaut's movie 400 Blows, which if you haven't seen it, probably the greatest movie ever made. Really close, really, really close. It's a story about a terrorist living a tough life of criminality, broken family. Beautiful movie. Beginning of the French New Wave, arguably. But the movie starts with a whole bunch of street level scenes of driving along and just seeing the Eiffel Tower in the distance. And that's how people felt in Paris at that time, before Paris was more built up. But the Eiffel Tower, put up there in the 1880s, was like looking over them. And it's sort of simultaneously a nice landmark to help you reminder of where we are and a symbol of our city, and also kind of a reminder of the modernity that was coming in and how far away we are from our rural past.
Right.
What does it mean? What does it mean that landmark that towers over Compton is a courthouse? What does that say? Civic message does.
Interesting. That's an interesting thought. So I think he's going to say, I think because I think he's going to say basically based off of the people that live in Compton or perceived people that live in Compton, because there was a time where Compton was predominantly white. Back in the the mid 1900s, so like the 50s, 60s, like Compton was, a lot of it was white. But I think he's trying to say, like, this bring up some sort of cultural relevancy to that point of the Compton courthouse overlooking, because Compton is flat. I mean, there's no skyscrapers in Compton, so it's just like, it's just a town, like, or a suburb, quote unquote. So I feel like he's going to play like, well, you know, the courthouse is this representation of law and order and government, you know, order, or at least enforced order over this black city or whatever, probably.
Does that send? That sends the idea that criminal justice is the most important element that needs to be emphasized. It's not a church. It's not a playground. It's not like a public service place. It's a place when people get arrested, usually on the war on drugs, which is a war against people who live. Anyways, I don't need to go into the war on drugs, but the war on drugs is a big racist war. It's resulted in a lot of people in jail who shouldn't be in jail. And so all of the people that we listen to from Compton, all of that, you know, this Compton courthouse looms really large. It's like freaking Orthonac. It's like some kind of terrible place that symbolizes, like, we're all going to go. We're all going to end up in there. We're all in the pipeline to prison. And that's like the main way house. It's weird, you know, because in Rochester, New York, you know, where I live, like, there's this beautiful bridge, the Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass Bridge, and right next to it is like a courthouse with like holding cells, and it's this huge building. It's like, welcome to Rochester, and then what it communicates is like, welcome to Incarceration City. Same basic idea.
Like, what did I tell you? Rochester is like that. Rochester, New York ain't sweet.
If you believe that the criminal justice system is in some ways an unofficial continuation of the unjust imprisonment of people of color, then it's a powerful symbol of that with its white and black symbols. What does it mean then? What does it mean that Kendrick puts everyone here and they're partying here? He's reclaiming this space.
Yeah, I was going to say liberation and control.
Forever. When people go to the Compton courthouse, under any circumstance, if they came from Compton and they went to UCLA and they got a law degree and now they're a public defender and they go to the courthouse, they're going to see that black and white building. They're not like us. They're not like us. Yeah. Let's say you get picked up and you're going to jail. This whole space of misery and pain, and unjust
of what that
income inequality and police
where
abuse,
it represents order and oppression.
This happy landmark of this momentous moment in West Coast rap, in hip hop, all of it.
Interesting.
And that's what Kendrick did.
Interesting.
So, hey Drake, how are you gonna beat him? What are you gonna do? Destroy the courthouse? What are you gonna do? What can you do? Absolutely nothing. Just believable. Just unbelievable iconography, imagery.
Yeah, that's why I always say, like, Drake can't win this battle because, to be honest with you, Drake isn't as smart as Kendrick is. And his team isn't as smart as Kendrick's team. They're just not. They're just, I mean, and I don't care who that offends, they're just intellectually inferior. Like, they're not as smart as Kendrick and his team. They're just not. They're just not. That's how I knew this battle. I knew this battle was lost based off of talent, but I also knew this battle was lost based off of intelligence. Like, Kendrick is a extremely intelligent person. Punch, Top, Dave Freed, extremely intelligent people. Drake, OVO has some intelligent people. I'm not saying that they're all incompetent. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying they're not like them. They're not like them. No pun intended. TDE got some brains over there. Not just TDE, the West Coast in general. That's an underestimated aspect of Western and Southern rap music, rap labels, so on and so forth. The East Coast, you know, there's this regional stereotype that East Coast cities or more heavily populated areas are more intelligent. That's not the case. Intelligence isn't what you can repeat, what you learned out of a book or what you read out of a book. Intelligence is you processing information and assessing it per your situation. Like, you got your Master P's down south. You got your TDEs, your Suge Knights out west. Like, these are dangerously intelligent people. So it's like Kendrick, you're seeing that with Kendrick. I'm curious to know what Kendrick's IQ level is. And same thing with Dave Free. I'm curious. I'm pretty sure it's over 100. Like, I'm willing to bet money. Like, you're dealing with you're not dealing with normal people.
Because you know what? The whole thing is this. The owl represents Drake. Kendrick represents the people. See, it goes the wrong direction. There's nothing that represents Kendrick that you can destroy. To destroy him, or to try to destroy him, try to destroy the people. Anyways, then we get to the next verse, the kind of like more standard hood tour video where he's driving, I think, a Lamborghini to Tam's Burgers. I'm not going to front. I didn't know what that restaurant was. I love the dancer in that video, the way that she kind of does this little tiny move.
I do like that too. I like the fact that Kendrick invests in. Now, this is me, like, a cultural diatribe. Like, with Black women, like, I like Kendrick's approach to Black women. Like, he had that line a couple of years ago. It's just like, I appreciate some booty with some stretch marks. Like, I know that sounds maybe raunchy or vulgar, but basically, to me, that's saying I like you for you. I like everything. I find your natural state beautiful because that's what God intended. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's this rumor that Kendrick likes white girls and all this other stuff. Like, it is what it is. But in that video and during the concert, the female dancers and stuff, it's all like just regular, natural women. Like, you know what I'm saying? And everything that is good and that is beautiful about Black women, he tends to accentuate. Like, his wife, like, she's a gorgeous woman. You know what I'm saying? The dancers, that one he's speaking of with the braids, gorgeous woman. Like, I appreciate that about Kendrick. And I hope, women in general take that and see that in this age of the gender wars, they can see that and appreciate that particular aspect where I love you the way you are, or I appreciate you the way you are. You know what I'm saying? And I hold you in high regard. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool.
To the other vaginal option, it's just this great dancing. Even you have some like very like stock, very standard imagery that you see in these kind of hood videos of.
Stop saying that!
Videos,
oh my God!
People on ATVs and motorcycles doing wheelies. Like on one level he's trying to innovate, and another way he's trying. Dave Free.
Oh, he blends.
One way they are trying to
interpretation
innovate. Another
of
way
what
they are
not. My interpretation of
what I think that's also important. Like, they're trying to just be of the people while also being super intellectual and doing stuff on another level.
Being super intellectual is of the people. The people are
Kendrick has done from the very beginning. Be for the people,
what we are,
and they can like it. Nah, ring, ding, ding.
We're going to be.
But at the same time, make very deep points that satisfy people who want to think about things on deeper levels. Like what great art can do: edify and entertain at the same time. The costume design is great here, just in general, just the Kendrick's different outfits. My favorite bit artistically is the cargo containers. Now, I don't know. I have been to some of the Los Angeles port. It's a very important part of the.
Now, there's been some speculations as what Kendrick is implying with those cargo containers. I don't want to defame anybody, but it's illegal. Let's just put it that way. It's illegal. So if you're looking at that and you're seeing what was going on in that particular scene, just kind of put two and two together what he was implying about his opponent. I'll just put it like that.
Of the city. So, gotta make make sure my baby's not screaming. Nope, she's still asleep. I have my baby monitor right here.
No, look at him being a good dad.
If that doesn't get your like, what does? There's a lot of YouTubers out
Don't
there.
try to
Do
get
they
me
sit
into the
there
light, bro.
at the 8:17 a.m. watching baby monitor while dropping this kind of science?
That baby should be up.
So the cargo containers, they're all white. Cargo containers are a mess, you know. Like, I once took a cargo ship from Hamburg to Montreal. Fascinating. 8 days on the ocean.
Why did you do that?
By doing that. And the thing is, like, cargo containers are all different colors. You know, they might come from Denmark and say, you know, Maersk on them. They might come from France and say CMA, CGM. They might say Hanjin on them. Like, they all have different colors, different logos, and they're everything. So he like went in and painted all these white. This image is insane. This is what I'm talking about. That high concept stuff. White? Like this image, like just white, all white shipping containers, and just how dwarfed they are in the scale, like the scale of these humans in there.
Interesting.
And then there's these two dancers high up in a container that are just going perfectly to the one line. What was the song? Something about like, put them on a list. Like they just like, they're able to like actually go with each word. It's totally synchronized. And he's sitting there like wearing his suit like he just got off of a long shift. Absolute beautiful imagery.
No, he's wearing a business suit as if he's conducting business. So put two and two together. Somebody's conducting business shipping containers. Y'all see the correlation? I'm not going to say what that correlation is, but I'm pretty sure y'all can figure it out.
Then we go back to the group imagery while we're all singing along, but there's a tightrope. The tightrope is interesting because the dancer on the tightrope takes a second to get settled, and then she does I assume it's a crip walk. I don't know. I'm not like an expert on what kind of. Okay. I don't know what kind of dance moves are affiliated with what kind of gangsters. You know, I don't know these things, so I assume that's what it is because that's what I hear other people saying. But feel free to correct me. All right. I'm an expert on teaching French. I'm not an expert on all the stuff I'm talking about. I'm just sharing my thoughts, my ideas, my analysis.
It's okay.
And just straightens out and then just goes to all the partying and singing along. What's interesting is they are in this extra little part of the courthouse, this little sculptural thing, which is like all these like lines, these white. It's almost like they took the very straight, simple lines of the courthouse, took them off, and then recreated them into sort of like this, almost like a phoenix, like something rising from the ashes, where like they're all like twisted and like coming out of the ground. I assume that was made by the architect to create some sort of sense of like, okay, there's this kind of brutal building of criminal justice, but maybe the hope
good rises up.
One can be reformed and one can be free and one can become a better member of society. I don't know.
Maybe.
But this little like weird shape thing. I mean, don't you want to go? I want to go there. Now, I just said that whole thing. I don't want to be a tourist in Compton, but I want to go. I want to be in there. I want to be in that.
He low key is a fan. I'm actually kind of people. He's actually kind of convincing me that he's a fan. He's
so many thousands of people in that little space. And they go back to the dance school for the Atlanta thing. Beautifully choreographed, very fun, going back and forth, throwing up the dollars. And this is what drove me crazy. You're not a colleague, you're an effing colonizer. To me, is like the biggest kill line in the entire song. That to me is like the essence of the entire beef.
Because you're white.
Step on
it. Yeah, he didn't expound on it.
Watch the video. Kendrick is like
didn't really expound on it.
Walking away towards the back of that minimalist set. Like what? Why aren't you like hitting that line super hard? I think you made a mistake, Kendrick.
Not the pinky. Oh my God.
Except they didn't. Because I was wrong.
The pinky.
The next line is the Family Matters line.
That's
so they don't emphasize the colonizer because what they want to emphasize is the Family Matters line.
Well, we already know
that's where, with my baby over my tummy,
don't let that go over your head.
Video, your prof started crying because I saw this family together. This family, which
Yeah, and I need to say this, like, and I said this on the recap was sincere. Um, that family, the family portion of the video is my favorite part. To see Whitney dancing, and even though there's like a little theory that I have that's negative about that whole scene, to see Whitney dancing, see the kids playing on the ground and running around. Um, in our culture, I think that images like that need to be reaffirmed and to be promoted, because it shows the strength of a family. And I think that's important, and that needs to happen more often in my culture, in my tribe, so to speak. That is extremely important, because you guys see like images like Kendrick Lamar and Whitney, LeBron James and Savannah. A stable household can move mountains, bro. Could move mountains. Could punch a hole in the moon. Like, it could do impossible feats. With the right amount of support, the right amount of ideal, the right amount of cultivating, the right amount of raising and educating, training. Like a strong family unit could do incredible feats, incredible and impossible feats. I think that was one of the more poignant communicative messages in this entire thing with Kendrick and Not Like Us. That was my favorite, one of my, if not my favorite part, if not my favorite part. Whitney dancing or blood walking, the kids running on the ground. Let's go ahead and get away from the gang affiliation. Like, she was blood walking, and she was blood walking or doing a variation of Crip walks, because those two dances kind of can intermingle. But her brother supposedly is a Crip, but her as a focus in this entire beef. Her quietness, her patience, her being quiet, her grace, her support for Kendrick, like, all of that is insane. Like, she did her job. She did her job to support, her partner, regardless if they're married or not. I feel like, to me, that type of bond, it goes beyond marriage on paper. There's no state recognized document that could define that type of bond. You know what I'm saying? She's bonded to that man. And the fact that she was able to go through this situation with him, with accusations thrown upon her to where she would be tempted to respond, and she stood fast and stood by the person that she loves and cares about, and she has children. The father of her children speaks volumes. So shout out to Whitney, shout out to Kendrick, shout out to the whole Duckworth family. It's encouraging to see.
I listened to We Cry Together. I can only listen to it. I think I've listened twice in my entire life because it's too emotionally powerful. It's too effective. I have been watching this whole thing. I am very sensitive to what I imagine Kendrick and his fiance are going through. I don't know anything about them. They might both be terrible people. Who the hell knows? All I know is what they present to us. But seeing them together in that little house, a house which I have to assume is like maybe her parents' house or his parents' house, not the house of a mayor, right? Not the house of a rap star.
You don't know that.
There's pictures of family on the wall.
And albums. His
I
album
think
pictures
about
on
like
that
that
wall.
Tootsie slide video that Drake did way back in the pandemic, where he's in his big penthouse all by himself with sterile art everywhere, just the loneliness and depressing
that kind of look crazy.
solitude of Drake, the sad colonizer, alone in his tower, looking down over his domain with no one to share his home.
No one sure.
He only loves his bed and his mom. He's sorry, you know. Oh my God! This whole
Man,
scene with the family.
story.
Let me tell you why it's the
Such a
best
good
cinema
story.
ever. Not just
Such a good
okay,
story.
it shows that whatever Drake was trying to do and refute, sticking, pointing at Kendrick and saying he beats his woman and his partner, and his kids don't hang around him, and his kids aren't him. So he makes a video with the person whose kids they allegedly are, and using the video and she's dancing, and of course it's beautiful. The picture of the family on the wall, and it's like a real house and it feels lived in, and she's doing the, I assume, walk, but what the hell do I know about different kinds of dance moves associated with the LA?
Don't worry about it.
Zero, zip, Nada, nothing. Okay, so she's doing there, she's doing the dance. But then tell me my favorite part. The kids don't dance well. They're running around.
Yeah.
They're not doing any kind of dance. Do you know why I like that? Because that's real.
Yeah.
Childish Gambino released that album a couple months ago. My favorite part of that album is where he's recording his kid talking, and he asks the kid a lead question, and the kid totally screws it up and goes off into a different direction.
Right.
Donald Glover hears his kid say that, and you can hear him on the fly change the nature of this little interlude and follow his kid's direction. When you are a parent, a good parent, you know that's what you have to do. You don't put your kid in some place and tell them what to do and choreograph it, and then when they don't do it, scream at them until they do it right. You follow them. So if you watch, it's less than a second. The kid, the little boy, he's like dribbling a basketball. Is totally a non sequitur. Has nothing to do with video, but you know that kid who's like trying to dribble between his legs, like enjoys basketball and he practices. And I see it right now. I have X-ray vision. I can see through past, present, and future. I can see for miles. I know. He said, "Dad, can I do my basketball moves in the video?" And Kendrick said, "Yeah, sure." And like he even kind of screws it up. Like he doesn't even get it through his legs. But I love it. It's honest. It's authentic. It's like a real family portrait. No different than the portraits on the wall behind them. The portraits that Drake can't have. It's love, not luxury. Are you my friend? And this all leads to the end where he waves goodbye, and we have the three endings that began the whole video. You see how it works? It's 2,000 pounds of explosives. I would say the Juneteenth was putting a flag over it and giving everyone their medals before. Now it's just completely destroyed. And even better than that, even better than the destruction of Drake in the sort of loss, than winning, is like what he's really showing, is the T Squad, is having the culture, the places, the people shown off and praised and loved and given the respect they deserve, from DJ Mustard dancing in front of the burger place, to Dave Free dancing in front of the container ships, to the whole TDE, to the whole city of Compton.
Whitney.
All right. Let's see.
Good job.
She's now awake. No, she's not. Perfect. Maybe I'll try to slip in my Megan Thee Stallion video that's coming out soon.
Okay.
Probably not.
All right.
Well, until next time.
Well, anyway, Megan Thee Stallion kind of took me out. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to go ahead and show this video because I just, on this channel, we want to introduce different perspectives of things. Even though Kendrick is a popular topic, we still want to look at it from a couple of different perspectives because that gives us more insight and understanding of what the totality of the story is. You know what I'm saying? With this video, like I said before, this beef isn't normal. This is basically a battle of ideals. And the ideals, whether you interpret the ideals the same as me or not, it's still a conflict of ideals or a battle of ideals that's super duper interesting. So I want to get as many perspectives as I possibly can. I appreciate you guys watching this with me. And, thank you for watching and paying attention to the Det Network. Sorry for this light. Sorry for my alarm beeping in the background. I'm trying to get that taken care of by my apartment complex. Hopefully we'll get that done for you. But, I try to do what I can. So thank you for watching. And peace.